Hello, folks. How are you all doing? My name is Weiss, also known as UV. So recently, I've been collecting a lot of information and studying a lot about different region, different politics, and different socio-economic policies that's been taken to make country work better. I'm doing this because of the recent U.S. elections, and I came across one such country and its ruling prince and was really impressed about it. So I want to share the information or story about it. It's none other than the Emir of Qatar. He is Your Highness uh, Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. I'm going to get it right. Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. He's the Emir of Qatar right now, and he's only 39 years old. And Qatar, as you know, is located in the Middle East, in the Gulf of Peninsula, close to UAE, in between UAE, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Iran. It's a small country, very small in diameter, and it's not bigger than city of Chicago. It's like close to like three or four put three or four cities of Chicago put together. That's how much the size of Qatar is, and it has only like 500,000 population, but then there are like close to 3 million migrants who reside in Qatar and work for the Qatari people and government. So it's a high expat ratio living population who drive the labor, the workforce, the healthcare, the education department, and most of it. So what's so interesting about the Crown Prince or the Highness Emir of Qatar, Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, is that he's young. He's 39, and he came as the youngest ruler of an Arabian country, which is Qatar, at the age of 33. No other person at the age of 33 ever came close to leading an Arab country. So that's something was very interesting to me. So I begin to the story of how he became the Qatar Emir. So Qatar is traditionally ruled by the Al Thanis for the past four generations. They were the ones who founded the small land and living in a tribe before 17th century and 18th century. There were like only like four different families that lived in the area of Qatar, and Al Thanis are the ones who are ruling Qatar for the past 50 to 60 years. So Qatar, as we know now, was in British rule back in before 1970s, and only in 1971 September is when Qatar became an independent country of its own state, and it has its own laws and rules and its own population and its own people to take care of. So let me come to our prince, Emir, Your Highness. He, like I said, is only 39, and like every leader needs to have a trait, needs to have a personality, needs to have something unique about him to bring his people together. So the Emir, at the age of like 21, 23, was already recognized by his father, who was then the ruling prince. He was Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani, right? So the Sheikh, the crown king back then, decided, okay, I'm going to bring up one of my son into the role, but then he was not sure which one because he had a lot of children, and there was the first son, Jamim, who was in the running position to become the crown prince. But then he saw there was more leadership qualities in our current crown prince, Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. He was actually born to the second wife of his father. So there's like a lot of brotherly issues which happens in all the families, especially if you're a son of a second wife, and you don't if you're a son of a second wife, you don't expect to become an emir of a country. But then kudos to Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. He has shown his mettle and he has won his father's heart and the people's heart and the ruling palace heart to make sure that he is elected to the highest position for his country at a young age. So that's very admirable. And also his father like understood that he has all the potential at the age of 21. He brought him along into all the process to make sure that he really, you know, makes it big. So he went to UK, mm, the current crown prince, to study, and he became the deputy army general at the age of 23. And he had a very strong military hold and saw how the military operations need to be carried out. So during his age is when the Iraq war was happening, and a lot of turmoil in the Middle East, and then there was like the rise of the Arab Spring in 2011. So he understood how to strategically use the military force along with diplomatic ties from the Western nation. Like I said, it's only a small land and it has only like 500,000 given population, and you cannot use all the people in military if you need other people for essential services. So he had a very good strategy of how to use the military deployment, and his father saw that, appreciated it, and then he said, okay, this is the guy who is going to lead the Qatar, the future generation. So he brought him into the all foreign diplomacy. He got into the economic and advisory board. He saw what is the current country's wealth that's heavily relied upon natural gas and oil, and how to make a good relationship with the countries that consume natural gas and oil. So oil, as you know, the Western market is relied upon. Natural gas is more like the Eastern market, like Iraq, Iran, India, all the countries which heavily rely upon natural gases. So he saw the market. He created a board of advisors who would, have a strategic relationship with all these countries to make sure the country's wealth of Qatar is kept very high. So he did that very, very well. And and he was also very passionate about sports. He saw the youth of Qatar don't need to go only into religion or into studies. He saw there was something lacking, so he thought, okay, hey, let me bring my youth into football, into soccer, into all the sports possible. So he bought the Doha Games. The Doha Games, or sorry, Doha Asian Games back in 2012, and then he bought the swimming national championship, the World Swimming Championship in 2014, and then he bid for the FIFA World Cup Championship in 2022, and then he got it. I mean, that's what its medal is known for. Like, he came into the power in 2013 at the age of 33, and within 6 years he made sure that they have the FIFA World Cup. He made sure they had the swimming World Swimming Championship held in Qatar, and he put a global image of Qatar in all the countries that was not aware of Qatar before. And Qatar is a very strong Middle Eastern country with a uh, great economic capitalization, great lifestyle, great better human index, and good for migrant and expats to live on. So that's what's make him unique, and that's what makes him very admirable. And he's very calculative, very risk mitigator. The way he has done every strategic move to work along with all the people is very admirable. Though he supports the Syrian rebels, he still backs the US to set up a militia in Qatar to work out how to negotiate a deal between the Afghanistan Taliban. So he has the both diplomatic brilliance as well as the dictatorial brilliance of the army. So he has both mix and match. He does. It comes with the people that he's around with too. So that's something very admirable by the emir. And this power came to him by virtue of his father, who worked way hard from 1971, from 1995 actually. His grandfather was the one who was in power from 1971 to 1995, his father from 1995 to 2013, and then he from 2013 to 2000, current day 20. So it's a patriarchal structure. That's how the most of the Muslim worlds rule. But the way this people, this three generation, his father and grandfather and the emir himself, has created such a good rapport in the Western world, and such a good domestic policies has made Qatar in the forefront. Everybody has heard of Al Jazeera news channel. Everybody's heard of the domestic aid that Qatar provides to the population of Syria, Yemen, and Iraq, where it's been war torn. So he has supported both the humanitarian causes, and he has supported both the military causes.